Have you ever felt like something dark, invisible, was controlling your actions? As if somehow your choices, your thoughts, were being directed by a force beyond your understanding? Could there be forces working behind the scenes in your life, manipulating every decision, every reaction, every feeling of discouragement or anger? You may even think you are in control, but what if you are not? Imagine for a moment that these thoughts that consume you are not yours, that these moments of doubt, anxiety, deep fear are signs, evidence of something much more sinister, something that stealthily takes the reins of your life, taking you away from the path you want to follow. What are the signs that this is happening to you? How can you identify when the devil is manipulating your actions, your emotions, and even your dreams? Today we will reveal the 5 most shocking signs that may be present in your life. Signs that you never thought could be there, shaping who you are without you realizing it. But before we do, as we continue, I need you to make a choice. Subscribe to the channel and activate the bell, because what we are going to explore together can completely change your view of what is behind your experiences. Are you ready to discover the hidden signs that may be manipulating you? First sign, feeling of spiritual disconnection. Imagine what it means to live disconnected from a force that you have always believed to be essential. When the feeling of spiritual disconnection takes over, it arrives as a subtle, almost imperceptible fog, but that over time envelops everything around you. It is as if an invisible weight is always there, preventing you from feeling the presence of something greater, from connecting with the peace that you once found in the practices of prayer or meditation. This feeling can start slowly, perhaps one day when you try to concentrate on your prayers, and suddenly the words seem empty. Something inside you asks, "Why is this happening? Why do I feel like I'm talking to myself?" And over time this feeling grows, silent but firm. There are times when this spiritual emptiness seems to directly interfere with your daily life. You try to seek refuge in a spiritual practice or in an inspiring book, but the peace that normally came from these activities seems to elude you. The familiarity, the sense of shelter and trust that these practices once offered, slowly turns into a kind of heavy obligation. Instead of feeling uplifted, you just feel tired. And the most intriguing thing is that the more you try, the more this feeling of distance seems to intensify, as if something or someone is in the way, a blockage that separates you from the positive energies that once comforted you. This spiritual distance is not always obvious at first. It can come on subtly, like an inner voice questioning your principles or a cloud of doubt that hovers over your mind, suggesting that perhaps the pursuit of the spiritual is not so important. However, the constant doubt, that feeling that something essential is missing, becomes a constant presence, a nagging reminder that something has changed. With each attempt to meditate, pray, or engage in a moment of contemplation, you feel resistance, as if you are trying to break through an invisible wall. This disconnection is especially profound for those for whom the spiritual is a fundamental part of their lives. If you have always believed in a divine presence, in something greater guiding and protecting you, feeling this absence can be a difficult blow to bear. This loss of connection feels like a void that nothing seems to fill, and little by little you may even begin to doubt your own faith. You question whether the feelings of peace and connection you once experienced were real, or if they were just creations of the mind. Doubt is powerful and insidious, infiltrating you at every moment, trying to make you believe that you are truly alone. In addition, the impact of this feeling goes beyond the spiritual and is reflected in all aspects of your life. The enthusiasm you used to feel, the security and strength that your spiritual beliefs gave you, all of this seems to slip through your fingers. The small moments of joy and gratitude that you experienced when feeling connected to something greater become increasingly rare. And with this disconnection comes a feeling of vulnerability. It is as if, without this spiritual force by your side, the world around you becomes darker, colder, and the daily difficulties greater. Feeling spiritually disconnected can even affect your relationships with others. The desire to share spiritual experiences or talk about deep topics disappears, leaving room for a certain distance. Those with whom you used to gather to pray, seek advice, or even discuss matters of the soul now seem like strangers. Talking about the spiritual becomes uncomfortable, and you often avoid the subject, perhaps out of shame or fear of admitting that you no longer feel the way you used to. It's as if spirituality, once a connecting link, is now a difficult topic to face. Second sign: persistent negative thoughts. Imagine the power of thoughts, those that arise almost effortlessly, filling our minds with words and images that shape our day. Now, imagine that these thoughts, which should be sources of inspiration and self-knowledge, turn into a constant stream of negativity, as if a dark cloud were hanging over you. Feeling manipulated by persistent negative thoughts is like living in an invisible battle, where an unknown force seems to interfere with every attempt to maintain inner peace. It is as if, in a moment of calm, your mind is suddenly taken over by a tide of insecurities, doubts, and self-sabotaging criticisms. These thoughts arrive without warning, sometimes first thing in the morning, completely changing the tone of your day. You wake up, and before you even set foot on the floor, a critical thought arises. Today is not going to be good. It may be a small voice, almost imperceptible, but it echoes throughout the day, undermining your confidence. And as the day goes on, these negative thoughts gain momentum, one thought leading to the next, creating an endless chain of feelings of inferiority, guilt, and discouragement. Trying to escape these thoughts becomes an arduous task, as they seem to be ingrained, ready to emerge when you least expect it. During moments of prayer or meditation, this negativity can intensify in surprising ways. What should be a time of peace and introspection becomes a mental battlefield. As soon as you try to focus, a whirlwind of negative thoughts invades, criticizing your attempts at spiritual connection and creating a feeling of frustration and inadequacy. Instead of a peaceful mind, you find yourself lost in thoughts that seem to distort your own perception, as if there were an invisible force sabotaging your efforts to be at peace. The repetition of these thoughts begins to shape your view of the world and of yourself. Over time, you come to believe that these negative thoughts are the truth, and this influences the way you view your own abilities, your worth, and even your purpose. Self-criticism intensifies to the point where it becomes a constant companion. This mental manipulation creates a cycle in which you feel increasingly trapped, as if you were walking in an endless tunnel, always hoping to find the light, but constantly being pulled into the darkness. There's something special here for you. Subscribe and share your comment. Your voice matters, and we want to hear what you feel and think. These negative thoughts not only affect the mind, but also the body. The weight of internal criticism generates muscle tension, headaches, and a constant feeling of fatigue, as if the body is reacting to this internal battle. Each negative thought seems to drain a part of your energy, making it difficult to even perform simple daily tasks. Little by little, the weight of negativity becomes so great that you feel like you've lost control, as if you're at the mercy of these thoughts that never stop coming. As you look around you, you may notice that the influence of these thoughts even affects your relationships. Conversations that once flowed smoothly now seem charged with invisible tensions. You may start to interpret the words and actions of others in a distorted way, seeing criticism where there is none, or feeling left out for no reason. The constant presence of these negative thoughts creates a barrier between you and the people around you, isolating you emotionally, even when you are physically with someone. It is as if these thoughts create an invisible barrier, preventing you from fully connecting with those around you. And there is also the impact on the way you see the future. With these persistent negative thoughts, any attempt to plan or dream is quickly stifled. You feel that nothing you do is good enough, that past mistakes will repeat themselves, and that the future is an inevitable extension of this negative spiral. The enthusiasm and motivation you felt when thinking about new projects or goals is stifled, as if every positive idea is quickly replaced by an internal criticism, a reminder of past failures, or a doubt in your ability to accomplish anything significant. Third sign: unexplained attraction to harmful attitudes. Have you ever felt drawn almost irresistibly to attitudes and behaviors that deep down you know are not good for you? It is as if there were a silent force pushing you in the opposite direction of what is healthy and positive. Fourth sign: feeling of heaviness or oppression in prayer. Think with me now. You are praying or reflecting deeply, seeking that inner peace that you have always found in these moments. But suddenly you feel a pressure, a tension that seems unusual, as if something were in the air, weighing on you. This feeling of heaviness or oppression in prayer is not just physical. It is almost like an invisible barrier that appears, making it difficult to achieve the spiritual connection you seek. What used to be easy and natural now seems distant, and every word that comes out of your mouth or thought that passes through your mind seems strangely forced. It is like trying to pass through a wall of fog, thick and cold, that hides the peace you seek on the other side. With every attempt to concentrate, distractions appear from all sides. Things that would normally not take your attention, like a distant sound or a sudden memory, now seem magnified, as if someone were trying to sabotage your moment of spirituality. You close your eyes and try to concentrate, but disjointed and disturbing thoughts insist on appearing, diverting your mind away. These thoughts are not only inopportune, they bring with them a sense of urgency and discomfort, almost as if they were there to disrupt the moment of serenity you are trying to create. And it is not just the mind that seems to resist, the body reacts too. A feeling of sudden tiredness arises, as if all the energy is being drained, making it difficult to even stay awake or sit up straight. This unexpected tiredness can appear right at the beginning or in the middle of prayer, making you feel discouraged and without the strength to continue. Your shoulders feel heavy, your breathing becomes shallow, and your body seems to resist every attempt to calm down. The experience, which should bring comfort, becomes an exercise in resistance, as if there was something invisible fighting against your desire for connection. Don't keep your opinion to yourself. Leave your comment and subscribe so you don't miss any content that touches your soul deeply. Your participation makes a difference. And then there is that emptiness. One moment, you feel like you're close to achieving profound peace, but then that feeling disappears, replaced by a strange coldness, a detachment that's hard to explain. It's as if the words of the prayer become empty, losing the energy and intention they once carried. The connection you once felt with something greater seems to be erased, and each sentence that once had meaning becomes just a string of words echoing in the void. This emptiness is distressing because it's as if something vital is missing, a presence that should be there but has somehow been blocked. This oppression intensifies at crucial moments, as if it's always waiting to act when you need peace and clarity the most. In times of crisis or important decisions, when you seek this spiritual connection, the weight seems to increase, making it even harder to find an answer or comfort. Instead of guidance, what emerges is a feeling of anguish and doubt, creating a scenario where peace seems far away from reach, like an oasis in the desert that moves away with every step you take towards it. This phenomenon of spiritual oppression is not limited to moments of prayer. It often continues to act throughout the day, as if leaving a trail of discomfort and restlessness that follows you wherever you go. It can be a feeling of constant tension, a lack of motivation, or an inexplicable sadness that appears out of nowhere, but that seems linked to that moment when you tried to connect spiritually. The experience, instead of leaving you renewed, seems to drain your energy, leaving an invisible weight that lingers, making even everyday tasks difficult. Fifth sign: constant doubts about your faith. These doubts begin to manifest themselves at random times, but often in situations in which you need your faith the most. When you are going through difficulties or searching for answers, instead of finding spiritual support, a feeling of disbelief arises, as if something is trying to make you lose confidence. One moment, you believe and feel secure, but soon the doubt returns, questioning whether you are really worthy of believing in something greater. This back and forth between belief and disbelief turns into an internal battle, where you try to hold on to what has always brought you comfort, but feel pulled away into a territory of uncertainty and emptiness. This feeling of doubt can be so intense that at times it seems as if the very idea of faith is slipping through your fingers. You find yourself remembering times when your faith was solid, when you felt a deep and true connection, and you begin to question why that security is no longer present. Remembering these moments increases the discomfort, because it feels like something has been lost, something essential that was once a part of you. It's as if you were trying to remember a good dream you had, but now only fragments remain, unable to capture the complete feeling. These constant doubts affect not only your relationship with spirituality, but also the way you see life. The security that faith provided is replaced by an emptiness, a feeling of uncertainty that begins to infiltrate other areas. You begin to question the meaning of your choices, about the purpose that was once so clear, but now seems obscured. Faith, which always guided your decisions, now becomes a question, something that you can no longer see clearly, like a compass that has lost its north. Living with these doubts can be exhausting, as it brings a feeling of isolation and lack of understanding. When you try to talk about this internal struggle with other people, you often realize that they cannot fully understand, because to those who are not going through it, faith can seem simple and obvious. This isolation increases the feeling of being lost, and each time you try to seek support, you feel more alone, as if you were the only one facing this battle against doubt. It is a lonely experience, where the comfort you seek seems increasingly distant and difficult to reach, and there is also the impact on your spiritual routine. Practices that were once pleasurable and offered a haven of peace now become a struggle. The act of praying, meditating, or even reading sacred texts instead of bringing tranquility makes doubt more intense. The mind begins to question every word, every gesture, as if it were testing the veracity of what it previously believed without question. Instead of feeling elevated, each spiritual practice becomes a space for the emergence of these uncertainties, which lead you to question whether everything you have always believed still makes sense. The very image of God or the sacred, which was once something clear and reassuring, begins to seem distant. When you try to visualize this presence instead of comfort, you find more doubts. There is a feeling that this connection has been lost, that perhaps you never really felt this connection, and that it was all an illusion. This kind of doubt is devastating because it affects not only the present, but also the way you view your past experiences, as if you were rewriting your own spiritual history. Sixth sign: mood swings when being in sacred environments. As you enter the space of prayer or meditation, you expect to find the same calm that has always been there, but right from the start, you notice that something is different. The environment seems heavy, the air seems denser, and each movement seems to require more effort. This feeling of heaviness even affects your breathing, which becomes more shallow, as if your body itself were resisting being there. When you kneel down to pray or try to close your eyes in meditation, you feel a restlessness that is difficult to explain, as if something were trying to push you out of this place of peace. This discomfort manifests itself in every detail. The mind, which should be focused on the moment, is quickly invaded by random and distracting thoughts, and these thoughts are not neutral. They bring with them a load of nervousness or irritation that increases the feeling of unease. Small things, such as the noise around you, seem to intensify, creating an even greater barrier between you and the spiritual environment. Concentration becomes nearly impossible, and instead of finding calm, you feel the frustration of trying, unsuccessfully, to be present. If these messages resonate with you, join us, subscribe and leave a comment, share what you feel, because each story you tell is unique and important to all of us. The feeling of discomfort can also evolve into a kind of impatience. What should be a pleasant and invigorating moment begins to feel like an obligation, something you want to end quickly. This desire to leave the place or to end the spiritual practice arises more and more, and each second seems to pass slowly, as if you are trapped in a situation from which you cannot escape. It is as if something is testing your patience, challenging you